proof, living proof. It's pretty safe to say, God give it, God take it away. It's the worldwide American way. I'm living proof.
What's going on, team? Proof here, and today I'm coming at you with the first video of my consecutive days going up for the giveaway. And I didn't mention this in my last video because it slipped my mind, but my plan was to, well, if you saw it on Twitter, if you follow me there, you kind of saw what the idea was. I was able to get some testing games in with a tweak of the dust sample that I put up, and I'll leave the deck here so that way you guys can have an idea of what I tested out with. And I wanted to get some games in just to get some data, and B, just to get a better feel of the deck, because it's kind of different than every other Spike deck that we've made during the G era. So what I did was that I took the deck, I took it to CFA in my spare time when I had the chance to do so, and I kept track of how to have a data tracker that I have that takes like the deck, if I went first or second, and the little notes that I left myself over time. And I thought it'd be cool to show you guys those games over the course of the next 5 days, or the next 4 days, and then I have a wrap-up video going up on Saturday. So it's going to be 4 games today, 4, and then 3 games on Friday. And then I'd have like a little wrap-up summary video, the things that I noticed, things I learned from these 15 games going up on Saturday. So before I get into that, here's the question of the day. And the question is, what's your favorite card and why? And for me personally, my favorite card is Exceptional Expertise Rising Nova, which is one of the main grade 3s in our Stride era version of Spikes. And back when it first came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it because I didn't understand how it worked. Back then I wasn't nearly as good as seeing card interactions as I am now, because that was a few years ago. And hopefully I've gotten better since then. But back then I wasn't a big fan of it, but I tested it out before the set came out and I started to like it more and more. And then when the SP came out, it was one of the first, if not the first, full art Spike card that I saw, and I knew how to get it immediately right away. So I got 4 of those as fast as I could, and then I started working with the Miracle Ace version of the deck, and I started to fall in love with this purple guy here. He became the ace of my deck, and ever since then it's just been my favorite card, and I haven't looked back since. And I like his new version, Great Star, as well. He's just as fire as his original version. So if you want to enter into the competition, to the drawing, let me know your favorite card down below, explain why. Make sure you follow the rules in the previous video. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the first game here. And I'm going to try and give my thoughts as clear as possible. So that's why I'm doing it at ×2 speed. And I can't remember what this one was against. Let's see. Okay. This first game was against Luard Geese deck, as you can see here. And a lot of people think that with Geese you should rush them, and I can see the merit in that, but you kind of fall into this idea or this trap where you give them more opportunities for triggers. But thanks to Spikes having such a great burst turn right now, I didn't think that was necessary, so I went with the general game plan of like ride up and attack. So with my hand here, I can definitely have a couple options that I can go to. I got my grade 2 ride, which I totally forgot to use Jelly Beans to to get a Monty, but I got bailed out by Mayhem Tiger. So kudos to him for that. I lost a Blackguard here, and I just want to get some damage on me, because if I commit rear guards to my opponent, if I commit my own rear guards, they can attack them for free without giving me damage, and then they give themselves more chances for triggers. So it looks like, I can't remember what I did here, and I'm gonna act like I don't know, but it looks like I was setting up for any type of Hell Hard 8 play and not giving him the extra damage either. But he ends up getting a crit and ends up buying the 0th dragon. Take up damage, Liar Lips here. So what I have available to me, I can get 2 heals in my hand to be able to have more flexibility with my G guards if I do set up for dust. I also because I don't have 3 heals in my hand, so I can't really go for Hell Hard 8, and I didn't draw into them. I didn't draw into another Jelly Beans heal or Mecha Trainer. So what I did was here is I chose to set up for Dust by calling out Acrobat, get myself a Rising Nova, use Beans to get another, to get my heal in my hand so I can go up to Generation Break 3 effectively. And then that way I have the means to go into Dust. So he PGs here, which is really smart, and I heal up. So now I have great defenses for his turn, and I don't have to worry about his turn nearly as much now. He goes into Drag Abyss. So let's say I have 3 damage here. I don't have Tier, but I did get my extra Mecha Trainer, so I can search for Tier after I pay the cost for Dust, because I have 3 Counter Blasts right here. So I think that's where I would go now. I'm gonna talk about these in the sense of what I would do now, and then we'll see what Pass Proof did at that moment in time. So he calls out these what's it called, Slaptail Dragons? Yeah, Slaptail. So let's see, I can't go GB8 unless I use a Gleam / Rack Tomb into a heal, but I didn't want to go that route. Pretty sure I took this one to go to 4, and then I Linus the Drag Abyss. I think I hit him for a 2 to pass here. That way if he did hit a crit, or I Linus and I threw up a Mecha Instructor. That'd be the better play. No pass? What? Oh, that's right, because he can't hit the trigger. That's right. The geese, I forget about that. So he let me go all the way to 5. And then did I go into a Gase here? Oh. What was I digging for? I think I was digging for a Blackguard or a Great Star, which ended up getting, so that helps me out a lot. Dust, and then I'm fairly certain I use Mecha Trainer to grab Tier out of my deck. That'd be the best play. And then from here, I'm using my mouse here. I can put a Frog here. I can put a Frog here, and then I can call Blackguard here, and then have the means to go into a big turn. Tier, Soul Blast 2, Counter Charge 3 or 4 if I had it available. And then I'm going to attack with Blackguard to Vanguard. And then he can block or take it. I'm going to attack with Vanguard, call out Mecha Instructor. And then he gets +5, at least he should. Nice handy draw trigger. Nice heal. So I pass power to both sides. And then Instructor, he's gonna return back to deck. He's gonna bind Blackguard and then call Blackguard back as charge. And then I can go into the Instructor or the Great Star Instructor loop. Which is that's the main reason why the Dust turn has so much oomph, is because of the interaction between Great Star and Mecha Instructor. And as I mentioned before, you don't want to charge a Great Star here because you want to keep bringing it back with Instructors. You have the Counter Blast available. Excuse me. So he heals, but it doesn't matter as much because he doesn't get the power from it because of Baby Geese here in the G zone. So then I loop, bring that back, and then I have one more. Oh, okay, that works too. Unless he had all the heals in the world, which he didn't, it would have been my game for certain. So that was game 1. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna come right back with the second game. All right, back for the second game here. And this is against Nubatama. Nubatama is a force to be reckoned with right now because of Zenki, Reen, mainly those two being able to force cards out of your hand, which directly impacts spikes. And over the course of talking with people in my Discord and going through this, I definitely have a better idea of how to approach the matchup. But let's see how Pass Proof did in this one. So kind of got hamstrung here with all the stands in my hand. He rides to 10K. Unfortunately, with this deck being the way it is, needing to use Mecha Trainer to get Acrobat hurts the fact that I'm gonna leave a unit on board to be dominated if he has Zenki, or I think Zenki dominates on Ride, if I remember correctly. At the very least, he has this card here to grab something anyway. But I have to get Acrobat here. Get my Rising Nova. And I'm not certain if this was the best play, but I think he would have guarded it regardless. Because now, this is Oboro. Oboro doesn't dominate on Ride, but he can definitely just hold if he wanted to. But then that would give me Sea Breeze, and I could have gone into, potentially had Hellheart 8 set up. So I'm trying to keep my damage low, that way I don't get blown out by Zenki. But since he has the G-Guard here, he can definitely easily G-Guard into his call, or his Rene? One of those three. So I'll go Marindal here to set up for something, just to see what I can do with it. And he's thinking. So my best move here, since he didn't block this with a G-Guard, I should have passed turn. That way he couldn't use his G-Guard to then activate or have his GB3 set to go with Rain. That was a misplay on my part. Because Rain's GB3, when he rips the cards out of your hand, they get plus 10K as well, which is very bad for us because we only have so much damage we can give. So the better play would have been just to pass turn, leave him at 2 damage and the G-Guard in his hand, and then figure out a way to get around it in my follow-up turn. So he calls Rain, calls out Miss Frog here, which is a pain in the butt too, because that extra 6,000 plus a draw, plus the 10K on top of Rain, all that mess is a big painful boon for us. So what I could have done if he didn't have the Rain here, I could have easily not taken these attacks here, and I would have put myself in a better position, or not be subjected to these attacks. So I kind of just take it on the chin. Because to me, I don't think I was able to survive this because without a trigger. So that's why I took the first 2, because then I would have been able to survive all these attacks here and then G-Guard afterwards. So unfortunate there, took the L, took on the chin, but I see what I could have done better now as I could have done then, because I really didn't have much of an idea how to approach the matchup from my own perspective. So Game 2 took an L, so that puts us at 1-1. So pause it again and be right back with the third game. All right, Game 3. What was Game 3? Game 3 was against Harry. So Pale Moon having access to Dust makes for what I've experienced so far, very scary Dust turn. So my whole idea going into this, after taking an L2, a Harry deck playing Dust, was to try to prevent Dust if at all possible, which means to win before Dust can become a thing. So I ride up. I have 3 rises in my hand, no other means of getting, well, 4 rises now. I don't have like Jelly Beans, Lindsay, or my other Mecha Trainer in my hand, so I can't really plan for Hellheart 8 right now. But that doesn't mean it can't change in the future. But I just kind of took an easy ride and pass approach because I needed the damage. I didn't want him to attack my rear guards and leave me without damage, because the deck needs the damage to function. So a nice handy draw trigger there. 5 risings. I think, yeah, ride attack would have been the best option there, because if he holds me at grade 2, I can go into Sea Breeze here with And then ideally I can get another jelly beans in my hand or another heal in my hand or something, so that way I can go straight into Hellheart 8 afterwards if he chose to Sea Breeze into Hellheart 8. But he rides up normally, goes into, is this the better of the two? I can't honestly, I can't tell you which one is the preferred ride. I think it's Mass Phantom. I'm sure Corey Kai will let me know if he watches the video. So let's see. Honestly, with this hand of mine here, I was gonna just take it regardless because I don't have much guard. I need the pieces, especially if he goes into his personal crit. So another crit. Nice sequence of checks. So my first turn was gonna be the standard issue Marindol play, and now I have a heal plus 2 mechas to go into to get 3 heals in my hand and set up for Hellheart 8. And that's what I like about this version of the deck, is that I have 2 ways to win. Well, 2 primary ways to win, in that I can go for Dust or I can go for Hellheart 8 if I need to. Either one, and it's really flexible between the two, is what I've been learning and what I've been seeing. And he thought I only had 2 G guards because I ripped this one off top. So nice sequence of checks for me as well. So unfortunately, I don't have much knowledge of Harry, or at least I didn't going into this game here. So I wasn't sure the proper ways to use my G guards to set up for Hellheart 8. But we'll see what we did here, and then if anybody can let me know if there's a way I could have done it better, because I was always afraid that I was going to be out of G guards or out of optimal guard, and he was going to have another way to attack me with like some type of crit or something like that. Especially I know this guy here, this promo, this badass here, he can start calling cards out. Why couldn't Agrius be like this guy? Like, just let me just bind 3 cards. Let me just bind lock circles and then put them, let me call him back. Cause he's a promo. No, Bushiroad, well, could have been so much to ask. So I know he has Prayton. For what I've seen before, it's that version. I've only run into the version recently that had the loop in it with the starter that can keep going into Soul and draw you cards, then you can call it back out with Trapezus and other things, and then keep going back and forth and just draw yourself a whole bunch of cards. That's the version I ran into. I haven't run into this particular version, especially ones that play Rainbow Magician. And this mate has been similar concept, but not abusive on the draw engine, which I think is the better version. But as I said, I was always wary that he had one other attack he could use, just because I don't have as much working knowledge of Pale Moon as I have with Spikes, of course, or other clans that I've run into more. So he sets up some columns here. He calls out Misdirection with Periton. Honestly, I can't remember if that, I think that's legal because she doesn't call out Magia only. I think that's this guy, the Stag. I don't know, something like that. So let's see, he attacks here. I was uncertain if I wanted to take it or to G-guard it with or attack with a 10K. I think my entire purpose was to set up for G-guard and Harry here with Linus's full ability, because 36K over 31 is 3 to pass. So I think I would have chanced that, but I also didn't want to put myself in a position. It's weird if you can follow my way of thinking, to where when you're at 4 damage and you're trying to set up for Hellheart 8, you need to put yourself in a position to where you can use all your G guards effectively without dying to your opponent's other cards, because Hellheart 8 is such a powerful stride that people will try to circumvent it by not giving you that last attack to use to guard it effectively, if that makes sense. So you can't just use your G guard. So at times you need to greedy guard and put yourself in a position to take those chances, which isn't something that I like to do, but it's kind of just happened because he hit crits early on and I didn't hit heals naturally on my turn. So he kind of just gave me the setup by going rear guard, as opposed to going rear guard, vanguard, which I think he didn't have the option to. Actually, he kind of did, because I think he could have absorbed these 3 and called back 2. I don't know if there was a better line for him to take, but since he went rear guard, I could easily use my first G guard on one, second G guard, Linus on the other, and then I could easily Linus the Vanguard for a 3 to pass, and then I'd have all 7 cards in my G zone face up, put myself at GB7 very easily with the way that he attacked me. So you take what your opponent gives you in those circumstances, and then set up for your turn as set as you get to it. I made no sense there. But he didn't check a crit, so I could easily take the last attack and then keep the cards in my hand. So he has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 cards in his hand. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, had 10 in my hand. So go up to Hellheart 8, and since I'm sitting on Rise and Nova, I can set up a formation like this. And I kind of just did this to get power, and I knew I had the instructor sequence ready to be able to put more power on Frog Raider. So with the way I did this here, I give plus 30,000 to Frog Raider, and then set up for instructor, and then instructor gives another 20,000 as well. Very potent combo, I love it. But then I use stride skill to call out instructor. Give another boost to Frog Raider. And then I give another boost to Frog Raider. That'd been the smart thing to do. Nice and handy 51. 21, 31, 41, 51. So then instructor goes back to the deck. We put a card from our hand into the soul, and then we bind Great Star, call Great Star over Frog, and then just reap all the benefits of all that additional attack or all that additional power we put on it. And then we give Star the skill, and then we can go into our loop from there. So if somebody can let me know if A, if my opponent could have did something better, or B, if I could have guarded, actually, if I thought about things the right way, I should say, just because I'm not too keen on the attacking sequence of Harry just yet to feel like I did that the best way possible. It's kind of just worked out in my favor. But that's game 3, and then there's one more game to go. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna pause it once more, and then we're gonna come back with that one. I keep saying pause, I'm gonna just fade this thing out anyway. Do it, whatever. All right, 4th game. This one is against ZTB. So we got a nice Chrono Dran Z. So my hand is looking kind of rough. My opponent's hand is looking rougher, as he had to pass turn first go round. The reason I ride Frog here is because with him passing turn, I wanted to keep Tier in my hand to be able to set up for a first stride Dust Blade to keep Hetero Round from hurting me. Even though Hetero Round can't really do as much to spikes as it could in the past because of Hellheart 8, I didn't want to leave myself vulnerable to it, and I thought going for Dust would be safer, so that was my first course of action here. So with the cards in my hand, I have the setup for Dust because I can ride Rise and Nova. I can attack or use Mecha Trainer to get my second heal, as I have one in my hand already, and that gives me all the pieces I need to be able to first stride Dust effectively. So now at this point, I'm just trying to put some pressure on him to get his damage high to where if I can't go into Dust, I have another follow-up play as well. And I know ZTB can just amass hand very quickly. So Rise and Nova, I'm pretty certain I use Mecha Trainer to grab a Frog Raider. If at the very least I grab Liar Lips. Oh, duh. Don't mind me. I'm sitting there misplaying as I just told you what I was about to do. So he just took the damage, and even though, yeah, he kind of had to, depending on how he felt about these hamsters. But I didn't want to give him a unit to call out with Jet Z. That'd have been real bad. So he downgrades that into 2 grade 2s. Yeah. So where you would like to sit ideally is you want to, in my opinion, you want to be at 3 damage at the very least. 4 is better, but you can function very well off of 3 with Dust, with Rise of Nova and Spikes. But 4 would be better, but you don't want to just leave yourself vulnerable to these types of things, especially because you have to G-guard twice to lead up to it. So I use my first G-guard here to dig for anything, ideally a Frog Raider. Take this one. Hopefully, I was hoping he would crit me. Didn't crit me. So then I weighed the option of taking it or going for Dust, and I didn't feel I had the best counterblast levels for it. But since he chose to attack and go for what he did here, I just went ahead and dropped the G-guard. Because he went for because it's still an attack and I can choose to guard it if I want to. So we take those. So I had the option here to go into Dust, and I felt comfortable. I believe I went for Dust. Yeah, put all my future possibilities on the line. So I'll go Dust here, and then see if he hit a trigger off top, which he didn't. And then I had to weigh the option here of if I wanted to use a Mecha Trainer to grab Frog, or if I wanted to, because that'd be 1 less counterblast for me to use for my loop. And since he's still sitting at 1 power, I think I was fine without it in this case, especially because I had a great star here that could just attack for 11,000 on top. So I attack unboosted here. Let's try to save the bigger attacks for later. Notify my opponent he couldn't intercept because Dust prevented it. I wish CFA put in a 1 power option here just for the confusion of Dust, because you can't set your power level to 1 on CFA for whatever reason, which leads to a lot of confusion. So my course of action here is to attack with Vanguard, call out Instructor, and then I would have 2 counterblasts left with the loop ready to go, which means I need 5 cards in my hand to use the whole loop and have 1 extra attack with Rise of Nova or with Great Star here. So that's what I was aiming for, especially with him being at 4 damage and decreased defenses, because he couldn't use at least this card in his hand, the block party, or this part of the block party, the party itself. I attacked for 9, which is just an easy 10k guard, because it's still a card out of his hand and I have 6 cards in my hand, so I can go full Instructor combo loop on him. Star, and then Star calls out the Instructor again. No power, unfortunately, and no Frog, but if he hit a trigger here, I would go boost it, and then I would call out the Instructor on this side next attack. So I put myself in the best position to take advantage of the situation by trying to line up my attacks appropriately. The opponent asking me if 1 card equals 1 attack, and that's basically what it is. Oh, I wasn't boosted here. Oh, because I was gonna flip-flop this anyhow. I was gonna call Great Star to this side, and then use Star to bring out Instructor onto this side, so that way it's a 15k boosted attack. And then I had 1 more card to be able to call out Instructor, or use Instructor skill to bind Great Star, and then call it back. So that was those first 4 games. Ended up going 3-1. Lost to Sheer Nui just for my own misplay and just the deck being really good right now. Let me know what you guys think of this format of it. Maybe if you want the games to go faster, or if you like it being at the speed it is now, so I can keep up with it better and explain my thought processes a little bit more. Let me know what you think, and then look out for the upcoming Spike Car of the day. And yeah, that'll do it for me. And until next time, peace. Be easy.